What happens when your player rolls an at 20 and you, as the narrator, give them a special benefit? But they're like, nah, bro. Who's right? Who's wrong? Who's guilty? Who's innocent? Let's dissect what happened and make some judgments. Am I being hyperbolic? Maybe a little, but we're going to break down this event because it was captured in our weekly live stream on our sister channel, Dead Unicorn Live. Go sub over there for some amazing weekly actual plays. This month we're playing Isle of the Dreaded Accursed by Mr. Tarask and JVC Perry, and Convert to the Cipher System by Quip. We're using the Diamond Throat Evolved Sourcebook by Monty Cook and a slew of other writers as a character creation and rules guide. All you need to know to understand it is that this is a high fantasy game using the Cipher System. If you're not familiar with that system, don't worry, I'll walk you through what's happening. So what did happen? The party of adventurers are on the docks of a town when a giant sea spider emerges from the depths to destroy everything in its path. Our heroes run to face it. This is several of our players' first game in the Cipher System, so they're all getting used to it. That said, they are all veterans of tabletop role-playing games, especially our subject today, Howard, playing a giant named Benethar. The fight's been going on for a while, and Benethar's turn approaches. In the Cipher System, a character can move 3 meters and take an action, but may move up to 15 meters if they make a successful speed check. This is exactly what Howard does, so Benethar can get into the action quickly.
All right, I'm going to do the speed check to see if I can move and take an action.
Sure.
I will spend 3 points to lower my difficulty on that speed check by 1 effort level. Natural 20.
When a character rolls a nat 20 in Cipher, a major effect happens. This could be as simple as a +4 damage if it happens during an attack, but sometimes you can get this result during other rolls. At this time, the narrator can make up their own wacky thing that happens. But also, each character has some suggested uses, as you'll soon see.
What does that mean? That I just get what I want, or does it do something extra?
Okay. You can move a short distance, do an action, and one of your runes you've pre-prepared goes off, make an immediate additional attack as part of your turn with the Rune of Affliction effect.
That's not how Rune of Affliction works. It's like a ward?
I know it is.
That would, like, blow up on me. I can't have it pre-prepared on me. Because if I touched it, it would explode.
You explode.
Benethar is a character that inscribes runes. One of these runes is the Rune of Affliction, which can be placed on an object or surface, but not a creature. When someone or something touches the object, the rune effect is triggered. In this case, it causes damage. Howard is right in his complaint, but there is another rule, which I, as the narrator, am using, called the Suggested Major Effect, which is a Rune Blast. This gives the character an extra attack with the Rune of Affliction effect on it. You run up, and as you're running, you think, oh, I can pull out my Rune Maker, and you can paint the rune instantly on the spider for Rune of Affliction. You can make an immediate additional attack with the Rune of Affliction effects.
It's not an attack, but all right, sure, whatever. I don't care.
That's what made you... I'm just reading what the rules say, man. You get to make an additional attack with the Rune of Affliction. Actually, no. You don't write it on the spider. You're writing it on your sword or your axe, and you're hitting them with the axe.
If you touch the object that the rune is on, it explodes.
But it doesn't explode?
I can't put it on the axe because it would blow my hand up.
Howard, this is something special that you get. That helps you.
I wasn't going to use the rune at all.
You're right. You don't get that effect. Let's not give him that effect. He doesn't want it so badly. We're not going to give it to him.
I don't want to use my axe. It wasn't even close to what I wanted to do. But, I mean, if that's what you want to do, well, I don't care.
I'm just
it's
saying.
Fine.
He's helping you be a badass.
But that's not even close to what my action was, other than getting up there.
Could this be chalked up to a poorly written rule? Many major effects have this sort of rule-breaking quality to them. Major effects allow a character to do spectacular things they normally couldn't. At this point, I could have argued further, but I decided against that. I decided to change my decision. Why? Well, game's about having fun. If a roll of a nat 20 makes a character act in a way that the player thinks is out of character or against character, they're not going to have a good time. And that 20 will feel squandered. This is what happens instead. Yes. As you run up towards this thing, you notice that your axe that you threw earlier is laying on the pier, and you scoop it up and put it back in your belt.
Cool. I got my axe back. All right. And now that I'm up there and I have an action, I am going to pull out a cipher. Here it is in equipment. I pull out the instant shelter. When exposed to water and air, it expands into a one-room structure, but I'm putting it in his mouth.
All right.
He's not moving, so it seems like it might not even be that hard to do.
To stuff it in his mouth, I'm going to make it a might roll.
All right, I will spend effort on that.
How much?
Oh, I have an edge of 1, so it's not that expensive. I'll do 2 efforts. That's
okay.
4 points.
That's 4 points. Yes.
Is this the cipher system equivalent of dropping an instant fortress on someone?
Kind of, yeah.
Like it is.
Oh, so close. Do you?
Was it?
Well, room.
I want to see if he has any skills that could help here.
He can't. He can't move.
You're absolutely right. I will give you an asset because he is immobilized. That will bring his level down to 2. You stuff it in his mouth. You turn it on, and his head explodes into a giant. What's it called?
Room.
An instant
It's a
shelter.
bedroom.
A little cabin.
A one-room structure with a door and window
for all the blood
replaces the spider's head.
and guts. Where did it go?
Amazing.
The spider is dead. Howard's a great gamer. He thinks fast on his feet, and he doesn't hesitate to accomplish tasks in innovative ways. He is the freaking GOAT, man. But that exchange might seem more confrontational than many might be comfortable with at the gaming table. Some people would say that you shouldn't argue with the narrator. Just let it go and talk to them after the game ends. This works for a lot of people and can be necessary in a less casual gameplay environment. For example, if you're gaming with a bunch of strangers at a convention. The narrator can be seen as a judge or a referee, and arguing with them can get you thrown out of the game. But I don't see the narrator as only a ref. They're also a player. In fact, most tabletop RPG books will call a DM or a GM a player. A tabletop role-playing game is a game. Games can sometimes be confrontational, from heated games of Monopoly to fights on the sports field. Now, I'm not saying to fistfight your narrator, but having reasonable objections and hashing them out isn't terrible. I mean, by definition, shouldn't be terrible. And can help the player and narrator understand the game better by helping understand the rules more, understanding the character more, and understanding the playstyle of everyone involved. If I would have taken a moment to find out what the player's intentions were before I were to, say, describe the major effect, there may not even have been an argument to begin with. Before I wrote this video, I messaged Howard to ask him if there's anything he wanted to say about this little ordeal. And the main thing he wanted to get across was that he's not mad. He's not holding a grudge in any way. And I have to say, I wasn't even concerned about that. Me and him, we go way back. And I know it was just a simple misunderstanding. It isn't going to change anything. I think, and I think that's the point here. This argument is about a game. It's not about us. His rejection of my major effect doesn't hurt my feelings, doesn't bruise my ego, in no way is a reflection of what I think he thinks of me. it's not worth holding on to something that happens in a game. This is a lesson that we had to learn as tabletop role players a long time ago. It's not something that was written in the rules anywhere. We had to, bump into each other, figure it out ourselves. We got mad for stupid stuff, and we learned that it wasn't worth holding on to that. I'll give you another example from years ago when we didn't have the same philosophy. Both myself and Howard were playing Red Mountain, an old D&D box set, and it was DM'd by his brother. Now, I talked to the DM beforehand, and I got okayed to be this dwarf that had a device on his arm that would launch daggers from the character's forearm. But he would only let me do that if I made the device in the game. So, every chance my character got, every time there was a little downtime, I tried working on it. But every time I started, the DM would throw some sort of hurdle in my way to stop me. This all came to a head when one time I had that downtime, and I asked to work on the gadget, and the dungeon master said I couldn't because it was a holiday where all dwarves had to be as quiet as possible. I called BS on him. I said I would work anyways because there's never any time that he lets me work. He said, that's not true. Of course not. I just don't want you to work now. Right. So I did it anyways, and then the DM said now I had penalties for the rest of the game on all of my rolls because I worked on that holiday. I worked on my machine. I was livid. I never showed back up to that game again. I was done with him. So what went wrong here? The DM, instead of being honest in the beginning, decided to be passive-aggressive. He dealt with things indirectly. He didn't want it in his game, but he didn't want to tell me he didn't want it in his game. He was speaking out both sides of his mouth, as it were. He didn't listen to the players when they said they were frustrated. The DM finally tried to just shut the player down with an unreasonable punishment. This could have been resolved from the get-go if the DM had said something from the beginning, like, I'm only allowing things in the main book, no homebrew. I might have passed on that game, but that would have been a better experience for the both of us than me being a part of it and expecting something that would never happen. So my advice, be honest, be respectful, listen. If you're a player or a narrator, it doesn't matter. Go out, have some fun in your own tabletop RPG. What I'm trying to say is, go roll some dice.